everybody, and welcome to the Morton Arboretum in Lisle, Illinois. I'm Environmental Scientist Samantha Panock, and I work for the Center of Tree Science here at the Morton Arboretum. Our main goal at the Arboretum is to study trees, how they grow, survive, and adapt in a crazy, ever-changing world, environment, and climate, and so we can understand how, as humans, we can help these trees grow and survive the best of their ability into the future. Today we're standing next to a Buckley oak tree, and it is instrumented up with various sensors on its trunk, in the canopy, and on the ground. We like to study trees in a way that's compared to when humans go to the doctor's office. When humans go to the doctor's office, the first thing a doctor does is take all of your vitals to make sure everything is working properly and that you're healthy. We do the same thing with trees here at the Morton Arboretum with all of these sensors on our tree. These sensors are taking the tree's vitals. The first sensor I'd like to talk about today is our sap flow sensor. The sap flow sensor measures how much water is going up the trunk of the tree and out into the branches. The trees use the water to help them grow and survive. There's 3 needles here. The middle needle is our red needle that sends a heat pulse into the tree. The bottom and the top needle measure the temperature difference. After we apply some mathematics, we come out with a single number of how fast the water is shooting up into the trunk of the tree. Right now it's mid-late April, so as you can see, some of the leaves are coming out on this oak tree. The sap flow is increasing as the tree wants to push out more water each day. It's using about 30 liters of water right now, which is a lot. In the winter time, when the trees are sleeping and dormant, they're using 0 liters of water. Above our sap flow sensor is our dendrometer band. This is the silver band that wraps around the trunk of the tree. It measures when the trunk expands and contracts. So it's basically like the tree is breathing. We couple this dendrometer data with our sap flow data. As the sap flow increases, the trunk will expand and bloat, just like humans bloat when they eat and drink too much food and water. And then when the sap flow decreases in the colder weather and the winter times, the trunk will shrink, and this will show in our band that moves with our trunk. Every single tree has its own mini micro environment or microclimate. So in the tops of the trees, we have the branches and the leaves. That's called a tree canopy. Within our Buckley oak here, we have various tiny sensors scattered all around the tree canopy, measuring this microclimate or microenvironment. This sensor measures the temperature at various spots in the tree canopy and the light intensity or the sun intensity at each spot in the various parts of the tree. We use this to measure the microenvironment, its changes, and where in the spots of the tree are getting the most sunlight and the most drastic temperature change. So in addition to all the sensors that we have strapped in and on our tree, we also have to understand the environment of where our tree is growing. So we need to understand the ground, the roots, and the soil. Here next to me I have what's called a leaf litter basket, and it collects anything that falls down from our tree canopy. That includes seeds, nuts, leaves, and twigs. And then we will take all of these elements into our lab and analyze them for nutrient content, so nitrogen and carbons, which are nutrients that help our trees grow. Over here on this side of me, we have what are called mini rhizotron tubes. That's a big vocabulary word for today. These are 2-foot tubes that are drilled into the ground. They are clear, and we take a fancy scanner or a fancy camera and send that down our clear tubes, and it'll scan all of the roots in this environment. We can then take those scans back to the lab and color code the photos to distinguish between old roots and new roots. And we know that a healthy tree will have a lot of both. We want old roots and new roots developing under our trees. So like I mentioned before, we're using all of these sensors to take the vitals of the tree to make sure it's functioning properly and healthy. The next sensor I'd like to talk about is our audio recorder, which basically acts like a stethoscope for the tree. We can actually use this sensor to listen to the inside of the tree, and we can hear many different things that will indicate whether the tree is healthy or the tree is unhealthy. We can hear the sap flow or the water moving through the tree. It doesn't really sound like ocean waves, but it has a steady knocking sound. If there's an interruption with that knocking sound, we know that there might be something wrong with the tree. We can also hear different insects crawling through the bark and inside the tree to indicate a bug infestation. Or we can hear if there's a storm, one of the branches at the top of the canopy snapping, and that'll dramatically affect the sounds that we're hearing through our audio recorder. All of our tree sensors are sustainably powered by our solar panels, so they are powered by the sun. In the winter time, when there's not too much sunlight, we do have backup batteries that are in our boxes next to our trees, and they're like batteries that you find in a car. Another awesome tool that we use to study trees are drones. Our engineer, Dr. Colby Borchetta, instruments up our drones with various cameras and scanners and will fly around our trees and tree canopies to measure various things such as canopy development and leaf out. We take these photos and videos back into our lab and digitize them into 3D models of trees. Humans need trees to survive, so it's super important that we study trees in order to better our efforts to conserve them for the future. I get to work with scientists and engineers all around the world to help study trees and conserve our trees in our forests. Today you learned about just a few tools and sensors that us scientists and engineers use to study trees. We take all of this data to better our efforts on how to conserve trees into the future. I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you get to come to the Morton Arboretum soon.